Everyone. I want to welcome you here from the capacity building team on behalf of the PCCB. Unfortunately, our member who was supposed to speak, Rosibel, is sick. She got COVID and cannot participate today. So I would like to welcome you in the name or on behalf of the PCCB for this session on fostering country ownership through South-South capacity building. So as I'm normally not with capacity building, I'm normally working on adaptation, being reassigned. I just introduced myself, David Ullman, working for the Secretariat. So to just give you an overview of the PCCB, it is a UNFCCC constituted body that was, surprisingly by the name, established at COP21 in Paris. And is mandated to address both current and emerging gaps and needs in the implementation and enhancement of climate-related capacity building efforts in developing countries. And its primary mission is to identify gaps and needs and potential solutions, including enhancing the coherence and coordination of capacity building efforts related to climate change. It fosters collaboration between actors at all levels, strengthening networks and partnerships to enhance synergies and promote knowledge and experience sharing. And in the decisions of COP25 and TMA3, the PCCB was further mandated to collate, review and share information related to enhancing the ownership of developing countries of building and maintaining capacities. We at the PCCB launched a technical paper at COP27 that's called Enhancing the Ownership of Developing Countries of Building and Maintaining Capacity for Climate Action. And you can find actually the QR code here on the screen if you're interested. And it identifies experiences, good practices and lessons learned with regard to country-owned capacity building in developing countries. And it specifically highlights that South-South cooperation can be an effective modality for capacity building for climate action that fosters country ownership and provides recommendations to parties and other stakeholders. It includes a variety of South-South cooperation good practices that were included in this technical paper, such as initiative of Impulse South, our lead partner of this thematic day here at the Hub, that brings 6 African countries together to strengthen youth leadership and Southern engagement with the Paris Agreement through capacity building. Another example of this is the community of practice of direct access entities as a global network that facilitates knowledge exchange and learning and experience sharing, collaboration and peer-to-peer support through South-South cooperation. That's a difficult one for German. Similarly, during the 6th, next slide. Similarly, during the 6th UNFCCC capacity building talk organized by the UNFCCC Secretariat in May this year, South-South cooperation was also emphasized to play an important complementary role to North-South cooperation in enhancing capacities in developing countries to implement effective climate action. So also here there is a QR code for you to check these resources. And today's session actually serves to dive even deeper into the topic of fostering country ownership through South-South capacity building by focusing on and gathering your experience, views and perspectives so that these can inform our future work on this important topic. So thanks for your participation. And now, after reading the speaking notes, we come to the more interactive part of the session. I would like to invite Greg Walker from the MBBI and the International Environmental Communication Association to introduce us to the sessions, the open space and the whole flow of the session. Thank you. Over to you, Greg.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We are going to focus on South-South cooperation, but I want to comment on the term ownership. The concept of ownership to me in South-South cooperation was really introduced to me by the late Salim Hook, who I got to know about a decade ago. And in one of our first conversations, he said to me that one of the things that he found frustrating was that university researchers like myself or consultants would come to Bangladesh They would work with Bangladesh partners on projects, but then they would leave. They would maybe take their consulting fee or take their data that they collected and go home. And he said it didn't really do anything to build capacity within his own country or within the institutions in that country. He said what we really needed, he said, was more ownership of our own capacities, if you will. How do we build capacities? And he said we need to do that more where institutions and organizations and communities in the South can in fact interact with each other. And that's really the spirit of today's session. Now, you've already heard the event theme, Fostering Country Ownership through South-South Capacity Building, and you can see the objectives are to gather, explore, and discuss examples, good practices, and challenges of fostering country ownership of capacity building assets, if you will, or capacity building resources. And we're doing that through something called open space design, which you may be familiar with. I'll explain that in a little bit. But for about the next half an hour, you're going to be interacting with each other, sharing your knowledge, your experiences, asking questions, proposing ideas around this topic, and we'll show you how we will do that in just a bit. Now, what is open space design? It is a modality that we've used, my colleagues here up on the front of the room have used, and I've used many times. It's highly participatory. The idea behind it is that you create a theme, and we have the theme here of fostering country ownership through South capacity building, but what that means and what you choose to discuss under the theme is up to you. So we schedule a theme, there it is, and then we ask you to propose topics that you would like to discuss under that theme. And the idea being that everyone here is a knowledge provider and a knowledge seeker. No one is privileged. Everybody's ideas matter. And the topic discussions are often like small think tanks. You can share stories, you can propose projects, you can focus on gaps and needs, whatever it is you choose to discuss in a shared learning environment. Now, there are some principles that we follow when we do open space. One is, whoever participates in your group discussion, they are the right people. Whenever the discussion begins, that's the right time, although we will ask you to discuss and get this discussion going. After a half an hour, when we're done with that, it's done for the time being. You may continue the conversations elsewhere, but it's done at that point. Whatever happens in the discussion, that's what should happen. And then there's something that I've always liked about open space. I call it, we all have MM. Not M&M's candies, but MM. That's the motive to move. If you're in a discussion group and it's just not working for you, move to another one. So you have that freedom to decide to go to the discussion group that matters to you. So with that in mind, here's our next step. And I think that's our last slide. Well, I'm going to go back to the theme here. So the theme is fostering country ownership. What we would like to do now is ask for you to propose a topic you would like to discuss for the next half an hour under this theme. Now, if you propose the topic, you're willing to get that discussion started. We'll have facilitators and note takers in the group. We want you to get that topic started. So does anybody have a topic you'd like to address that you think would be important under the umbrella of fostering country ownership through South cooperation or capacity building? Any topic at all? Anybody want to propose one? Yes, let me pass the microphone. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mines.
Pardon?
Mines, like extraction of resources.
Oh, okay. How about resource extraction? Can we keep it beyond even mining, like forestry as well? Or okay, so we have one topic proposed, and that is focus on how to foster country ownership relative to resource extraction. Is that a fair way to put it? Okay, so we'll call that resource extraction, fostering South-South cooperation, ownership. That's one. What's the second topic? Anybody else have a topic you'd like to discuss? And thank you, by the way. Okay, a university cooperation. Okay, South-South cooperation among universities. That would be a second topic. Excellent idea. So we have a group that could discuss how do we, in fact, foster South-South cooperation and ownership relative to resource extraction? how do we do that involving our universities? We have 2 topics. Do we have a third? Is there a third topic? Yes. Oh, I'm going to sneak out all the way here so we can hear that. Yes.
How can we attract more investment with South and South cooperation?
Okay, how can we attract more investment in South-South cooperation? So here's what we have so far. We have proposed a topic of South-South cooperation and capacity building relative to resource extraction. We have South-South cooperation, capacity building relative to attracting investments. We have South-South cooperation relative to the work of universities. Anybody else want to propose another one? Or should we stop with 3? For the time being, we'll stop at 3. Now, just out of curiosity, how many of you are likely to want to discuss the resource extraction topic? Okay, 4 people, that's great. How many would like to talk about attracting investment? And how many of you would like to talk about universities? Hey, we have our 3 groups. So you've done a great job. This is what open space is about. We give you a theme, you propose the topics that can be talked about. So here's what we want to do then. We're going to, how do we want to do this? I'm looking at my my PCCB team here. We can, should we put people, how do we want to arrange? Just put chairs in a circle, or people gather around tables, or either way? Okay, let's do this. Let's. How many people would like to be involved again with the resource extraction? Okay, I think we had about 4. Would you like to gather at a table? The back, that looks like about 4 people. Let's go to a table there. Now, up on the stage here, we have Ruta, Jessica, and Yasmin, who are, along with me, we're going to be facilitating these discussions. And I kind of would like to hang out with, well, I don't know, which would you like to hang out with? You're going to do resource extraction? Okay, sounds good. Now, how many people are interested in the attracting investments? I think back here. Why don't we have the attracting investments, if you can just form a circle of chairs in your area, and you want to do the investment group? And then the university group, let's just put some chairs together here at the front, and I'll hang out with you since I'm a university person. And we're going to have note takers, and it's a very open, free-flowing discussion on this topic. And we'll just arrange things here. If you're university folks, you're going to be here. If you're investment, you're going to be there. If you're resource extraction, you're going to be back here. All right. Welcome, everyone. The idea here is for the next few minutes, simply what occurs to you when you think about fostering country ownership and the role of universities. You can, it's an open discussion, whatever ideas come to mind. I'll leave it there. Anyone want to get the conversation started? Maria, typically when you go, whoever proposes a topic has to speak first. So when you propose this topic, what do you think? All right, I think this is working. Thank you, everybody, for participating in our 3 groups. What we would like to do, we'll rearrange chairs here. I'll leave this one for now. Anyway, if we could, in the last few minutes, as a way of wrap up, we're going to ask each of the 3 groups to share some of the highlights of the conversation. And I think, you think your group's ready to go, Yasmin? Okay, I'll give this to you, and you can introduce or give.
All right.
Give the report.
Yes.
Just come in. We've been using an open space approach to conversations about South-South capacity building relative to in-country ownership of capacities that relate to a variety of issues. We have one group that focused on South-South cooperation regarding resource extraction, one South-South cooperation on attracting investments, and one South-South cooperation involving universities. So we're going to hear short reports from the 3 groups and then call this session to an end.
All right, so our group was talking about investments. So I will go ahead and...
Okay. Okay, so we had an interesting discussion, and basically we get to the conclusion that we needed a couple of activities, or a couple, no, more than one. One of them would be to have like a forum, annual forum, South to South, with thinking on how to collaborate and share experiences, like share best experiences, and how to create like a knowledge-based system where like countries can share with other countries what they have achieved in terms of successes, but also what challenges do we have in the different countries. But we, of course, struggle to find what kind of organization can manage that, because it would be, has to be like a external type of organization. And also the importance of using all the knowledge that we have. There's people in the back talking. Excuse me. Okay, so that was basically it. It was interesting to see how we have like similar challenges to attract investors, and then we were talking how we can like have a common voice as well, South to South, so that we can reach for investors instead of competing between us as countries, how we can get together and start asking for some joint investors and things like this. So it was interesting, but we couldn't really find how to do it, but there was good ideas of what is needed.
You needed another hour for that.
Exactly. Thank you.
Let's now hear from our resource extraction group and highlights here.
Yeah, you kind of told us. Yeah, so ours was resource extraction. And I'm gonna use.
I thought you were going to do the... Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm Julianne Thompson, and our group talked about resource extraction. We all had the same concerns, and unfortunately, we were not a South-South group. We had Gabon, we had Lithuania, we had East Timor, we had the United States, and we were all concerned about the rate of extraction and if we were doing it sustainably and justly, because no one wants to invest in renewables if we're increasing human rights problems. So we talked about some of the ways that we can draw attention to those areas that are extracting to make sure that we've got the oversight. We also talked about the need to use batteries because they can be used multiple times over, and we do have an issue with emissions in the atmosphere. So we acknowledge that it's not a simple issue, that we have problems to address, and that as we work together, we can grow solutions within the area that it's needed. And that was something that came up. We can't pay for resources from another faraway location to come in, that we need to grow the resources on the ground, for example, in the DRC, next to the mines, so that it will benefit all the people and the resources can stay there. So it was really an interesting conversation.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. And let's hear from our last group, which is our universities. There we go.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity, and our group was like a really complete group. We have people from the US, we have people from Peru, Colombia, Brazil, Liberia, I myself from Indonesia. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. we agreed that the university has the best asset, which is the students that are in the South-South. We are living in the climate change, and we have like a real experience on that. So we agreed on we have to engaging more communities. We have to engage more of the cities, the government, the NGOs, and also thinking about the funding for the capacity building, because what we are doing in the university is basically capacity building. And what else important things? We agree that our roles in the university is not only gathering knowledge, not only concentrating the knowledge there, but we also need to bring the knowledge to the ground, to the community. And we also agree that we need to be more flexible, not just talking about the quality, but also the quantity, so we can reach more and more people, and then we can build more and more capacities in the community. I think that sums it up. Thank you.
Well, thank you to everyone who participated in this session, and to our discussion leaders, our discussion reporters, our discussion note takers, our discussion facilitators. If you're interested in learning more about open space design or any participatory interactive modalities, Mediators Beyond Borders International and the International Environmental Communication Association, we have a number of people here. We have booth number 5 in the walkway across from the Singapore and Korean pavilions. We'd be happy to visit with you more there. We want to thank the Paris Committee on Capacity Building for inviting Mediators Beyond Borders and our colleagues from IECA to help with this session. But most important, the strength in open space design is not in the facilitation, it's in the participation. And the groups, from what I could tell, active participation. And a good conversation is one where you say, oh, if I only had more time. But of course, we're out of time. So we'll thank everyone again, and look forward to the sessions for the rest of the day. Thank you so much.